Welcome to the Say Do Gap, the official podcast from Ditto, the synthetic market research company. We're the people obsessed with the space between what we say and what we do because we believe that's where the most important truths are found. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sarah. Alex, let's kick off with a scenario that I think, every product manager, marketer, and innovator knows all too well.
Okay.
Your team has just wrapped up a round of user interviews for a brilliant new feature.
And the feedback is a dream. It's unanimous. Everyone says, this is exactly what I need. This is a top priority. I can't live without it. You feel like you've just unlocked the future of your product.
Absolutely. So your team rallies, you pour in resources, you build it, you polish it, and you launch it with a fanfare. You sit back ready to watch the adoption numbers soar. Dramatic pause, and then you wait. 6 months later, you pull up the dashboard. Adoption is at a painful 11%, and it's trending downwards.
That is a gut punch moment. The immediate reaction is to think one of two things.
Right.
Our users lied to us, or our research was a complete failure. It feels like a total waste.
But what if neither of those is true? This is the perfect textbook illustration of what we call the say-do gap. And it isn't a story about users being deceitful or research being useless. It's a story about a fundamental and fascinating misunderstanding of how human beings actually make decisions.
Okay, so let's break that down for everyone. What is the say-do gap in its most essential form?
Simply put, it's the persistent discrepancy between what people tell you they'll do and what their actions later reveal. In every research session, focus group, or survey you run, people are doing their best to predict their own future behavior.
And it turns out we're all pretty terrible fortune tellers when it comes to ourselves. When we're sitting across from a researcher, we're telling them what we think we'll do or what we believe we should do.
Right.
We're trying to be helpful, to sound reasonable, and to present a slightly idealized version of ourselves.
Precisely. This phenomenon is well documented in academia.
Yeah.
Researchers have all sorts of terms for it. Social desirability bias, hypothetical bias, the attitude-behavior gap. The labels may vary, but the pattern is incredibly consistent across every industry. People will enthusiastically say yes to product upgrades they will never purchase and commit to using features they will never click on.
And once you have the language for it, you start seeing this gap absolutely everywhere. It's the New Year's resolution to work out 3 times a week set against the stark reality of actual gym attendance data.
It's the internal company announcement that leadership is told everyone has read and understood, while the email analytics show a 15% open rate.
It's the B2B customer who insists in an interview that price isn't our main concern. It's all about value, right up until the moment they see the final quote and have to get it past procurement. The gap is so common, it's almost mundane.
It is. But here's the paradigm shift. And this is really the central philosophy behind our work at Ditto. For decades, market research has treated this gap as a nuisance, as measurement error, noise that needs to be filtered out to get to the real answer.
But what if the gap isn't the noise? What if it's the signal?
That's a powerful reframing. So when a user tells us they would absolutely use a new feature, but then doesn't, we shouldn't see that as a failure.
No, we should see it as an invitation.
Exactly. An invitation to dig deeper. They aren't wasting your time. They're showing you something profoundly important about their lived reality. That chasm between their stated words and their actual actions is where the most valuable insights live.
Wow.
It reveals the hidden constraints they face, the unseen friction in their workflow, and the powerful social or organizational dynamics that ultimately trump their stated preferences.
Could you walk us through a concrete example of that?
Of course. Let's take a user in, say, an accounting department. She tells you in an interview that she desperately wants more automation in her workflow to save time. She's genuinely enthusiastic. But then you observe her 6 months later, and she's still using the same cumbersome manual spreadsheet process. The old way of thinking is, well, that's contradictory data. She must not have really wanted it.
But the new way of thinking says,
Yeah,
this is the most revealing data you could possibly get.
that's it. Now you have a critical question to answer. Why? That why is the insight. Maybe using the new automation tool feels like admitting she's not good at her job, a job she's built her identity around.
Or perhaps her boss is old school and openly values hands-on, visible work, and she fears looking like she's slacking off.
It could also be a trust issue. Maybe she was burned by a buggy automation tool at a previous company, and now she has a deep-seated need for control that the manual process provides. Her stated preference for automation is real,
Right?
but her unspoken fear of losing control is stronger.
Exactly. Her articulated intention, I want automation, and her observed behavior, sticking with the manual process, are not in conflict. Together, they form a complete map of the complex terrain she is navigating every single day.
Right.
Competing priorities, unspoken concerns, identity maintenance, and organizational realities. The gap contains the story.
Which leads us to the billion-dollar question. If the gap is where all the value is hidden,
Yeah.
how can you possibly explore it systematically? You can't just launch every idea and wait 6 months to see what happens. That's a recipe for bankruptcy.
And that is the exact problem we built our technology at Ditto to solve. Traditional methods are broken in this regard. Market research and surveys give you one side of the equation, what people say.
Okay.
Behavioral data from analytics gives you the other side, what people do. But the crucial gap between them, the why, remains a complete black box.
So how do our digital twins at Ditto illuminate that black box?
Think of it like this. Our Ask Ditto platform allows you to explore that gap at incredible scale. A digital twin can model the entire cognitive landscape of a target user.
Right.
So a digital twin representing that accountant might express that same genuine enthusiasm for the automation feature, just like she did in the interview. But then it can also surface the underlying concerns.
Okay.
It can tell you, I love this idea and what it promises, but I'm worried my boss will see it as me cutting corners. Or, this sounds great in theory, but I remember how long it took to implement the last new software, and I can't afford that downtime right now.
So it's not just giving you the say,
Exactly.
it's simulating the reasoning that leads to the do or do not. And the really exciting part is testing this across different contexts.
That's where it becomes a strategic superpower. You can run simulations to see how the decision-making process changes under different pressures. What happens to the say-do gap when the budget is tight versus when it's flush? What if the user has to justify this purchase to their skeptical manager versus a supportive peer? The gap widens and narrows based on context, and understanding those shifts is the difference between a winning strategy and a failed launch.
So instead of going to market based on the fragile hope of enthusiasm from a few focus groups, you can map the entire possibility space of real-world reactions, objections, and reasoning patterns
Right.
before you commit a single dollar to development or marketing.
And it is absolutely critical to understand that these are not generic AI chatbots giving you bland, diplomatic answers. Ask Ditto's digital twins are meticulously calibrated to match the demographic, psychographic, and behavioral patterns of real consumer populations. So when a digital twin surfaces a conflict between a stated preference and a hidden concern, it's reflecting how real people with those specific characteristics actually think, reason, and act.
It seems like the ultimate goal then isn't to somehow force the say-do gap to disappear, it's to understand it so intimately that you can design your product around it.
Yes.
Shape your messaging to speak directly to those hidden anxieties and recognize which user constraints you can help solve versus which ones you simply need to accept as part of their world.
You've got it. The say-do gap isn't a bug in the human system, it's the blueprint. It's not a flaw to be corrected, but a map to be read.
An incredibly insightful way to look at it. That's all the time we have for this episode of the Say-Do Gap.
Now, here's a question we'd like you to think about.
The next time you make a decision that contradicts something you previously said you wanted,
Uh-oh.
whether it's choosing the burger over the salad or putting off a big project, take a moment and ask yourself, what's in the gap? What unspoken constraint, hidden fear, or social pressure just won the day? The answer might surprise you.
Thanks for listening.
1, 2,